What's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to the Whatcast. Happy holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate, if you're like me and you fucking hate Christmas, fucking happy not going to work week. How about that?
Yeah. How about, I mean, by the time this comes out, it's going to be late, but how about happy solstice?
There you go.
You don't have a choice. You got to celebrate the solstice because that's the way the world works. It happens whether you want to celebrate or not. So, science and all that. So happy solstice a week late.
A week late, yeah. It was a happy solstice.
Yeah. I mean, this will be post-Christmas and heading into the new year. So this is the last official episode of the Whatcast ever in 2023.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. We're going to take it easy this episode, and we were discussing about what we should BS about, and we've agreed that the year 2023 was the year of the UFO.
I like that effect you did there.
Thanks. I said that
very
earlier.
50s sci-fi. I like it.
Yeah, so there's still weird news going on in the UFO world. That's kind of what dominated everything. I mean, there was a couple months there where we couldn't talk. We can do a show without mentioning UFOs.
Yeah, it was like every week. Like for a while, we were actually considering doing a weekly thing on the show, just at the end of the episode or whatever, like this week in UFO news, because it was so frequent that new UFO stuff was coming out. And now I feel like we're just in a loop. Like we're just going round and round, and every single, it's like we just keep hearing the same shit over and over again, and nothing's come of it. It was like this whole exercise in attempted disclosure was just for fun and games, because it amounted to nothing in the end. We have no proof. They're not going to give us any further updates. They downgraded they completely reduced what was requested to be included in the NDAA for this year. They wanted to add a lot of things about UAP disclosure, and a lot of that shit got taken out. It's at the end of the day, it's the government being like, look, we had an interest in it. We did. I feel a lot like this is Blue Book all over again, except this time they're not like completely debunking it. They're just like, yeah, well, we're done. We devoted our time to it. Who knows? Maybe 50 years from now, they'll roll it out again. Or maybe my fucking doomsday scenario will come true and we'll all be fucking vaporized and the aliens will be blamed.
Nice. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that a little bit too. But you use the phrase attempted disclosure, and that's definitely what it felt like. It still feels like that. Now, do you think that that's what this was an attempt at disclosure to see what would happen? And the very first thing that happened is people like David Grush came out and started, I mean, depending on the way you look at it, started running their mouths, blabbing secrets. Do you think that it seems like after that dude talked, that it's been a real slowdown? I mean, I don't know if you want to look it up real quick, Mike, because I don't even want to say it unless I'm sure, but I heard that they're not going to have any more UPA hearings at all because it's no longer a need to know thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the David Grush thing, when I first heard it, I was very excited. And then the following day, I decided in my head that this is likely bullshit and it's going to amount to nothing. And the second day reaction was the correct one. He made his rounds across different media and was there at those hearings. But it sounds like every time they would ask questions that would kind of get into some of the meat, he wouldn't answer, and he would say, I can't answer those in a public hearing. And so they wanted to do a closed hearing, and then there were issues getting him in there to a closed hearing. And like, it just seemed too good to be true from the get-go. And the fact that he makes a lot of big claims without any backing evidence is also kind of questionable. And I know he's saying that he's trying to work within the rules of the military, but I don't know. It seems like if you've got all this information, what it seems like is he's the guy sitting dangling the carrot and just kind of teasing what's going on there.
Right.
He's, to quote a review that we got, he is a disclosure edgelord.
Yeah, it seems like he came out swinging with all this stuff. He hasn't really said anything. You mentioned him being all over social media. I know that he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, right?
Was he? I don't know. I saw him. He was on Newsmax a whole bunch, and then he made his rounds to other news outlets, and I think Fox News he was on. I don't know if he was on CNN or not, but he was just going everywhere that was like legitimate and talking about it. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he was on Joe Rogan as well. I wonder if he had Watchy McBeardface on there with him.
It says here episode 2065, and so I don't listen to Joe Rogan. I don't follow Joe Rogan on social media, but once in a while, our Instagram feed, it'll pop up because he'll have somebody who talks about something about the paranormal or aliens or something like that, and I have not seen one clip, not one short, not one posting of his appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. Not one.
Really?
Yeah, not one fucking Instagram, TikTok where it's playing creepy music and the camera's slowly edging in on his face and the red curtain backdrop Joe Rogan always has where David Grush is saying something creepy. Nothing. I haven't seen one clip of him being on Joe Rogan, which I found weird. But it definitely seems like he came out swinging and hasn't really offered up anything. And I still remember seeing that some filmmaker, some guy was being interviewed and that he knows Grush and has worked with him. And he was saying how you guys need to really take this guy serious. You guys don't understand the levels of clearance he has, what operations and programs he's been involved with. But if he drops the bomb, it's going to be world changing. And he's just done none of that. And I understand him trying to stay within the legal boundaries, I guess. Maybe that's the best way to put it. But it just seems like this was an attempt at it. And the first thing that happened is this dude jumped up and they were like, okay, see, I mean, we watched pretty much all the UAP hearings. And when it came down to the meat and potatoes of the subject, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but everybody who was there to blow the whistle, everybody there who was there to expose the truth, just when they were asked about it, they just came back with, well, I can't talk about it in a public setting, or we can talk about this in private. So it didn't seem like they were ever going to really answer anything. And then having a whistleblower pop up and go on every show that he could, including Joe Rogan's podcast, one of the biggest consumed pieces of media in the world, I think they just said, like, nope, it's not going to work. I mean, the dude from Arrow, he had to quit because they were withholding information and hiding information from the public. And when that dude said that, I was like, there it goes. Like, it was a wave, like you say, it was like a flash in a pan, and it doesn't seem like it's worked out for them.
Yeah, it was everywhere, and it still is pretty heavily talked about, especially online. But I think it's still being taken more legitimately than it ever has been, like from the public standpoint. But I don't think we're ever going to get the information that everybody wants, like with the government saying, yes, we do have retrieved craft and here's all the info, that's never going to happen. They're not going to, if that's even a real thing. Like I almost feel like this David Fravor thing is just another or not David Fravor, David Grush, but maybe David Fravor as well. But I really feel like this is all like another Richard Doty sort of situation where they're just rolling out someone who is an actual military official and coming out with promises of disclosure and all this stuff, and then we're going to find out that this was all a psyop, and that the fucking whole Mirage Men thing is still an ongoing program or whatever that they're doing to discredit the UFO phenomenon and the people that witness it. And I think there's a reason for it, and I don't think that it's because aliens from outer space exist. I don't think it's because they're afraid of mass panic. I think that those are all just silly reasons that people come up with why they're doing this. I think the real reason is because it's something that actually is a lot scarier or unfathomable, I guess, or even more alien, like than beings from outer space. Like we're talking fucking real fucking aliens, like shit that doesn't necessarily exist on our plane of existence.
Right. The definitely, like, these things aren't going to be non-humanoid. They're not going to have 2 arms and 2 legs.
Yeah, and all the high strangeness that just comes along with all of, or I shouldn't say all, but a lot of these reports of UFO encounters or alien encounters. It's I don't know. To me, it seems like it's more than just visitors from outer space. That if it is visitors from outer space, then a lot of this shit doesn't make sense. And I guess you could argue if you're a starfaring civilization with that sort of technology, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to us. Or, we're trying to look at things from a human perspective, and they're not human, so we wouldn't understand. But it doesn't make sense in any natural way to have beings that are basically creating haunted house situations, and in addition to that, displaying themselves as UFOs or aliens. It's to create the terror that they create. And then if you follow the idea that aliens are behind cattle mutilations and aliens are behind the abduction scenarios and aliens are behind crop circles, like why would they do all that? Like the crop circles, if they wanted to communicate with us, sure, but if you want to communicate with us, you can also just communicate with us. Like, why would you write symbols in a field and be like, they'll figure it out? That's fine. They'll figure it out. Because
Right.
no, they won't. We're fucking completely different. So I don't know. It all seems, it seems like they dangle this little idea of UAP disclosure with, tying it to aliens or extraterrestrial life. Maybe I've been saying all along it's likely some form of distraction, or they're going to use it to weaponize UAPs, like start blaming things on the aliens. But maybe it is just because they know it's something fucking so alien that they can't even comprehend what it is or what's going on with it, or what they want even. And because of all that, there's no way that they can stop any of it. So
Yeah, that could be what's terrifying about it, and that's something I wanted to get into. But before we get into that, I kind of wanted to ask you a question. I asked on an episode of The Quick and the Weird that I didn't get to ask you. Do you think that we're fed this image of a little green man with big eyes, big almond-shaped eyes, or little gray men with big almond-shaped eyes and big fat heads that they put on T-shirts and candies and all that type of shit? You can find them on bongs and shit even. Do you think we're fed that, so that's what we're programmed to believe that they look like, that that's the type of threat they pose. Some like a 3 foot, 4 foot tall little thing that you can karate kick in the side of its head and probably kill. But
Or decapitate with a katana.
yeah, but in reality, I mean, I think that they're giving us that sweetheart little image of this cute little thing because the reality is something that they don't understand. I think that if these are aliens or like maybe interdimensional creatures or beings, like you said, like you have said, that they're going to look like something off the cover of old sci-fi magazines. It's going to be a cross between something from H.P. Lovecraft and like old demonology books. I think it's going to be way worse than this image that we're being fed. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Like we're going to be like if there is real beings out there, like it's going to like you said, it's going to be like Lovecraftian shit. And by that I don't mean like big octopus things, but it's going to be like inconceivable creatures that I don't even want to call them creatures because who knows what the fuck they are. Some beings, I guess, would be a better way to put it. And the type of shit that like to even try to contemplate after you've witnessed it will cause you to go mad because of how fucking otherworldly they are.
Right. Now, do you think that that's a huge guarded secret because they're counting on some huge trauma-based fear reaction when they are revealed, so we're all more easy to control?
Maybe, but it's also assuming that they know and understand what it is, which, I mean, yeah, they're the government, and I would give you the, I would forgive the argument saying that the government knows about aliens and crashed spaceships and everything. If that was the reality of the situation, it would make sense that the military would know that. But if we're dealing with beings from another dimension or another plane of existence, to assume that the government would know about that, like know more than the average person about that, I think that's giving them far too much credit. And I think that that's a big reason why they're covering it up, is because they don't fucking know either. And I think they're worried about the panic that would cause if they're saying, you know, if they downplay it, they don't need to fucking explain shit. No one's going to care. They'll be like, oh, well, they're not concerned about it. Why should we be concerned about it? But if they come out and they're like, guys, we're aware that this is real and whatever this shit is able to do this, this, and this, and there's no fucking way that anything that exists on this earth could do that, yet here it is, and we have no fucking clue what it is. Like, that's going to be scarier to someone than the way that they're talking about, like, the Tic Tac, which, you know, they're basically like, it doesn't fly like anything I've ever seen on this earth, but they're not, like, really straight. Like, they're making it sound more like it's a craft from outer space or something, you know. And I think that if and again, this is a big if those videos are actually real and showing some otherworldly vehicle, I think that they're downplaying what it is. But that being said, it could very likely be that these videos are fakes that were intentionally leaked by the government or the military to kind of go along with this big plan of quote unquote alien invasion, and also to turn people away from what the truth of these beings are. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that there are people out there that know the truth about, or at least part of the truth of what's going on. I do not necessarily believe that they are members of the government or even the military for that matter.
Right.
And I don't think it has really anything to do with like political power or money or anything like that. I think it's really just people that understand non-physical beings and that are able to communicate with these beings. I think being able to understand their nature is going to make you more likely to be able to open lines of communication and figure out what's going on versus, I've got power and money, therefore I shoot down alien spaceships and make aliens my bitch. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I definitely, I believe that the government knows about them. I don't put it past them to know about something as common as UFOs are. I mean, we've been reading about this stuff since we were kids. All these abduction reports, the sightings. Before the internet, there was just books based on sightings. You can sit there and read a whole book on dozens and dozens and dozens of UFO sightings by dozens of people. So I'm sure they know what's going on, but I agree with you. I don't think they know what it is. But I don't think they know what it is in the sense of they haven't made contact or haven't figured it out. I think that these things have approached them, after observation and probably figuring out who to approach and just to fuck with a whole different planetary race of people, probably said something will be back in 100 years and flew off. So they know they're there. They don't know if they're good. They don't know if they're bad. And again, like you said, that could be scarier for some people. But there's, talking about it being scary, like not knowing what it is scary. But you mentioned people getting or knowing the truth. And I watched a video a few weeks ago, and I'll try to find it. I spent all day trying to find it. But they were talking about some information that came out. I think they were mentioning something about some documents revealing that there is a group the government has for UFO retrieval, and they've actually retrieved like between 9 and 11 UFOs. And they were talking about a few UFO investigators, like 3 or 4 of them. I think Elizondo was one of them mentioned. But they say that these investigators have claimed to basically have gotten to the fucking bottom of this shit. And all the ones that they mentioned, I looked them up. I didn't save it, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of research because I want to cover this more in depth. I want to research these researchers, but they all say the same thing, that the truth of this is way more horrific than human comprehension would allow. That no matter what you think this is, you're 1,000 times wrong, and it's 1,000 times worse. And I find that really interesting. There's not a lot of people who've written a book saying, I know what it is, and it wasn't about being star children or something like that. And coincidentally, I was watching some shit on YouTube, and again, there's a lot of shit that just pops. You guys know how YouTube and Instagram are. This shit just pops up whenever it wants. Just because we talk about UFOs, it'll throw whatever UFO shit it wants to. And there was a clip from a show. I don't watch these people. I don't know what their shows are called. I really don't know anything about these people. I know a lot of people don't like these people. When I've seen of them, I don't like them either. But one of them was this dude named Clayton Morris. And I know Clayton Morris because he used to have a podcast with Jim Harold. And you guys might know the name Jim Harold because he has the Paranormal Podcast. It's one of the longest running paranormal shows podcasts there is. So I know him from that, but I also know that when he was doing that show, he was an anchor for something like some morning show on Fox. So a lot of people don't like Fox. Clayton Morris had interesting stuff to talk about. They just covered news stories, so it wasn't really a demonstration of his in-depth knowledge on the subject or his personality. It was just doing what he did for his normal job. But I stopped listening to Jim Harold when we started doing the show. That's how long ago I've even heard the name Clayton Morris. But some clip comes up and there's Clayton Morris. I'm like, what the fuck is this about? And he seems to be very liberal now. Really religious and stuff like that. And that's cool. That's his thing now. But he had some dude on named Tucker Carlson. I don't watch the news. I don't really know who Tucker Carlson is. I know people don't like him. If you don't like him, that's cool. I wasn't watching Tucker Carlson because it's Tucker Carlson. I saw Clayton Morris and stopped, and Tucker Carlson starts talking, and they're talking about the UFO and the alien stuff. And Tucker Carlson makes some comment to the effect of, I've looked into that, and based on the information that I have, it's so horrible, I can't even bring myself to tell my wife about it. And Clayton Morris responded with, I think we have a lot of the same information, and I would have to agree. The truth of what that stuff is so horrific that I can't bring myself to tell anybody. And then the next day, there was a clip of that Tucker Carlson dude being asked about what he had said on Clayton Morris's show. And he stammered a little bit, and he said something like, I think he said, quote, "Look, they're not aliens, and they've always been here." I don't know. I mean, he's just like a reporter, right? He's just some type of quote journalist. I don't know on authority.
Tucker Carlson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a talk show on Fox News.
Okay, so I don't even know what the guy does, and I'm not saying he's an authority on it, but it kind of sparked this curiosity. I really want to look into these, what I'm calling like doomsday researchers, and to hear people talk about that, hear some other UFO researchers say that it's way worse than you think. What do you think about that? I mean, what do you think of if it's not being scared because we don't know what they are? That's not what these folks are saying. They say they know what they are, they know what they want, they know what they're doing, and it's nightmarish and unfathomable. What do you think about it being something like that?
I do, because that's one of the things that David Grush said as well, was that they're not necessarily aliens from space. And that's another thing that I kind of wonder, like, if they're just kind of not so subtly putting it out there into the world to kind of change the nature of what these things are in the public eye.
The narrative here. So let's break that down. So if we're getting this new narrative, it's not new. They've been saying it forever. But like Paul here talked about all the alien races. We talked about the Nordics. We're not talking about aliens that look like us per se. But let's just go with what this they're saying with this is that they're not aliens per se. They're not aliens from outer space. Are we talking an underground race of beings, an underwater race of beings? If we're going to be, like you said, none of the outer space stuff makes sense. What are we talking here?
Yeah, it's hard to say, really. I mean, he could have been talking about maybe there being another civilization that's a secret civilization on Earth, or maybe he was talking about something from another reality that kind of parallels ours, or, well, I shouldn't say parallel, maybe overlaps ours.
Well, see, that's where I have a problem, is that, like Grush, a lot of people, like I said, the narrative's been around for a while that they've always been here. If we're and they've always connected the UFO thing to this. That's what they're talking about. These UAPs, UFOs, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I don't think that interdimensional beings, spiritual beings, spirits in general, are going to need a physical craft that are supposedly crashed to get around. So I'm excluding any of that bullshit. To me, I want to talk, if this is the old classic shit, aliens, what if they're physical beings? I don't think that those entities would need UFOs.
So the idea that if they're non-physical beings, what we're seeing as UFOs are likely energy bodies and not actually craft. I think what is happening is a lot of the UFO stuff is being kind of taken on. Well, I shouldn't say taken on. The UFO stuff is being used as a way to cover up top secret military projects. Because if it looks weird and UFOs exist, then you just blame it on UFOs and nobody fucking looks deeper into it. It's like, oh, someone just saw a UFO. Nope, that was a top secret spy plane. But, whatever, it was a UFO. So, and that's the hardest fucking part about this whole thing, is when the government gets involved, you would expect to have more disclosure. You would expect to have more answers. But instead what we just get muddied waters. Like here we are arguing, well, not arguing, but talking about what the different explanations that they're providing could potentially mean. Like that right there just shows they're doing their fucking job. They're telling us, no, we're looking into UFOs. We've got crashed UFOs and alien bodies, and then you've got someone else being like, nope, whatever they're saying about UFOs is wrong. They're not aliens from outer space. There's something else completely, and it's far more terrifying than aliens from outer space. You're like, fuck, what could that possibly be? And now we don't know. It's fucking, it's all muddy because the government stuck their stupid dick in it and ruined it for everybody. Get your dick out of my soup, government. I'm sick of it.
Get your dick out of my alien soup, bastards. Well, let's get into that. What do you think that these guys are talking about when it's it's a horror beyond horrors?
I think it's just a fucking scare tactic. They're not talking about shit they don't know. I think they're looking at it like from a Lovecraftian point of view, like where it's just it's so alien and foreign that it's the most terrifying thing that we can't even conceive of it, so it's fucking terrifying. Okay. And that's the whole thing. Just because they're fucking they can't explain it. And if you can't think about anything, like any horror movie or whatever, right? The scariest part is the stuff that you don't know. Like you see things and the mystery and the atmosphere. That's what creates the real horror, for a lot of people. It's not actually like the reveal of the killer. Oh my God, that's so scary. Usually that's fucking disappointing in the end, because it's the mystery behind it that's the scary thing. And then once everything's out there on the table, it's not scary anymore. And we all know that fear is one of the best motivators that the government has. So, you put the idea out there that's fucking terrifying, and when the time comes that they want to pull the bullshit with the alien invasion, people are already on board because you already set up this fear. Like you're already saying that these things are terrifying, and if they're terrifying, that must mean that they are malevolent and they mean us harm. And it's I don't know. Everything that comes out officially just makes me further and further think that there's something fishy going on, and it's not aliens, and it's not a fucking big cover up. It's the government behind all of it.
Well, let's go down a rabbit hole here, and most of the time we're joking on here about crystal butt plugs, barn owls, and all that shit. But let's just go down a rabbit hole here, and let's say that it is something as Lovecraftian as blobs with tentacles with crab legs and fucking gnarly hook teeth coming out of it.
Honestly, I would prefer if it was like sentient colors. Like just have like the colored lights that are fucking sentient. That would be cool.
That would be weird. But let's just say it's the worst case scenario. What do you think? Intergalactic traveling physical being that supposedly has had contact with humans since the dawn of time. They're responsible for building the pyramids, and they take people and they fuck up cows and they put symbols in fucking fields. How do you think they're going to show themselves, and what do you think they want from us? Worst case scenario.
I mean, I have no idea what the fuck they want. And I think, we're looking at it from a human perspective. That would be like an ant looking at us and being like, what do you think they want? Like, they don't understand human life. They understand ant life. And if they wanted to reveal themselves to us, they would have. To me, the most terrifying scenario that could possibly come from UFOs would be that they aren't aliens. They aren't multidimensional beings. It's what we're seeing in these cases of high strangeness and UFOs sightings and alien encounters and all that could be like I guess for lack of a better term, the Matrix, kind of dropping these weird clues into our world. And maybe what we're seeing is the UFO that's the whoever is running the Matrix checking in on the subjects. That would be the most terrifying scenario to me, because then it's just proof that the life we live is a construct that was created basically to torture us. Because I mean, let's be real, fucking life is hard, and it's not a good time. You know, if you wanted to create an AI program to keep all sentient life trapped within it, then, you know, you could just as easily be like, hey, it's happy fun time land all the time. But instead you choose to make us have to work for a living and live in a world where people hate other people for no fucking reason, and there's constant war and hunger and death. Like, that's fucking terrifying. That's the route that you took if that's the case here. So to me, the Matrix, man, the Matrix is the scariest thing out there.
Yeah, the Matrix movies, when they came out, I was a bit younger, and I admit that they went over my head a little bit. But now that I'm older, I understand that the whole world being some type of program, being fake, that's terrifying to me. But when it comes to these things, you know, if they're physical beings coming to Earth and our government, I mean, I think that rulers of people were approached a long time ago. They've been depicted throughout history in many different ways. People have claimed responsibility for them doing amazing things. I think that the bottom line now, I think that our government has been approached by these things, and I think they are as insane as what a being that would have to travel from a distant galaxy would be. And I think that we were possibly told that we're here because they allow it. I think that's what's so terrifying. I think that they know. I think that they've been shown that it's not a matter of coming down and having to fucking laser gun everybody. I think that they'd just be able to wipe out the planet from space. I think that's what they mean by horrifying. I think there's probably maybe some harvesting going on. I don't know what they would be harvesting unless...
So like the Eisenhower story?
Maybe, but I think if it is harvesting, there's nothing inside our body that I think they would find value in. So maybe it's whatever humans have come to call their soul, or a life energy, a life force. Maybe that's the case. I think maybe we're just some giant reserve for these things. I think that we're seeing more and more of them, just like you'd see any enemy move in on an area on a battlefield. Slowly, a lot more, a heavy increase of them appearing over an extended amount of time before they attack. I think that if it is something as terrible as these people are saying, it's going to be like a horrific nightmare. I think that there's going to be things going on that in mass that'll be like Event Horizon, but on a more intergalactic level.
So somewhere in the middle of the universe, maybe there's a portal to hell, is what you're saying, and that's where these things are coming from.
Yeah, probably something like that.
I mean, there have been a lot of people over. I mean, even going back decades now that have been saying that what people are perceiving as aliens are actually demons.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's. I suppose that would be a possibility, and that would explain the reptilians as well. Really, you know, like think about like a reptilian, what a lizard man would look like, and then think how easily that could be perceived as a demon. It doesn't seem like it's a big stretch.
Not at all. Since when like biblical demons and like the Lesser Key of Solomon, there's always some type of animal aspect involved. There's some that are just straight up animals. So seeing a giant lizard person, you know, I can see how maybe an earlier period person would be like demon. I mean, some people today would see that and be like, holy shit, that's a demon. That kind of tripped me out when they're saying that they've always been here. If they are underground or underwater, something like that, I'm going to shit my fucking pants if you hit it on the head with lizard wizards, dude. If it's actually...
Oh, please give me lizard wizards. That's like best case scenario for me. Yes, vindication.
Wouldn't that be wild, dude? If they just crawl out of the fucking ground? But what's the UFOs for then, right? If they're earthbound,
they're fucking lasers, or they're just distractions by the people.
Yeah, maybe
the lizards run shit, and they're like, "Listen, we need cool ships, but we don't know how to make them. but we hear you got lasers. Let's go. And then that's what we get.
What if it's the same scenario with the lizard wizards as it is like with the space aliens? Like they've approached humankind forever, and that's who humans have made sacrifices to. And our modern government now knows it'll take 60 of these fucking lizard wizards to wipe out our country. And that's why there's UFOs now.
That's the terrifying scenario.
Yeah, that's
lizard wizards.
Mm-hmm.
The lizard wizards they created us using strange draconian magic. They took a little bit of their DNA, they grabbed some apes, they cast some spells, and humanity was born and made to suffer because we have warm blood and hair, and the lizards are just fucking cold, man. The spell was an attempt to develop a lizard that was actually warm-blooded so that they could, be comfortable on Earth instead of shutting down every time it got cold. But instead they created humans, and now they're just fucking jealous because they can't perfect it, and they're like, shit, we just helped the fucking monkeys out. Sorry, bud. Way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Maybe go eat some fucking flies or some shit. Leave me alone.
That's what human wizards were. They were like they practiced and became wizards to counter lizard wizard magic. So the lizard wizards have like retreated underground until they gain enough magical strength and they attack the surface of Earth. I mean, what if the government's like, dude, and these researchers like they don't need their magic. Like it's going to be an army of like killer crocs. They're just going to be eating people. It's going to be fucking a slaughter.
Yeah. Yep, they're behind all the missing people too. They just fucking eat and eat and eat. They're insatiable.
No, see, that's the missing 411 stuff. The people in the parks, those parks are designated areas to where they give the lizard
they set
wizards
up teleportation traps.
Yep.
So the lizard wizard sets up they cast their teleportation spell, and some hapless hiker walks through. And the thing is, the teleportation device can only transfer organic matter, which is why a lot of the times the clothes are left behind and the person is never found. It's because they get sucked into the fucking teleportation trap. Lizard wizard eats them, and their clothes are just chilling on the other side because they can't get pulled through.
Yep. That was the agreement we made for the allowance of the Foundation of America. Like, you got to set up these parks and let these people get eaten. This is like the feeding grounds of all the lizard wizards.
America, fuck yeah.
You're gonna get fed to a fucking lizard wizard, yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine that though, dude, with all like how many cool shorts there are now and even fucking how horror games are now? Can you imagine just having somebody kick open your fucking door at 2 a.m. and it's fucking just straight Black Ops dudes? They grab you and your family, put weird handcuffs that don't seem normal, like they encase your whole hands and put them behind your back, and you get taken to this fucking huge ass warehouse, and there's just tons of people there. Everybody's being stripped naked. There's like one giant wit lizard type creature that's fucking directing people where to go. Like, what do you fucking do? Like, what do we do if that's the fucking case?
We just
die?
Yeah. Or we learn anti-wizard spells. Or anti-lizard spells, rather.
Yeah, I've heard people say, like, why the fuck would they want to experiment on us? Don't they know enough? I think we've even said, like, after all these years, haven't they known enough? But maybe that's why they keep doing it. Why wouldn't you seize the opportunity to snatch up somebody you plan on conquering or eliminating to know as much as you can about them? Maybe in 2024, fucking people will have anti-lizard wizard magic talismans just implanted in their hands. They don't know. They got to check.
Check it out, guys. Lizard wizard. I don't know, man. I'm. Here's what I'm going to say. After this conversation, I have been sufficiently frightened that I am now going to pour through all my books and look for any anti-demon, anti-dragon, anti-lizard spells that I can find. I'm going to arm myself, and you can take my tasty bits when I'm cold and dead. I won't willingly let you eat it.
What we'll do is have Mike, if something goes down, Mike will have those spells prepared. He will send them to me. I will publish them. So if aliens are invading, if lizard wizards are invading, just wait for the latest episode of the podcast. And
we will give you, well, that's assuming that the lizards don't take control of the fucking internet first and block all attention. Like, they're probably listening to this right now and like, fuckers, when we take over, we're shutting this podcast shit down pronto. There will be no spells coming out. So, that being said, if you want to join my magical lizard wizard mailing list, then send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I will be sure to send you anti-wizard spells every month.
Oh God, what's our P.O. Box number?
Yeah, for guys that don't know, we've got a P.O. Box if you guys want to mail us shit. Not literal shit. If any of you mails us literal shit, then I will shit next to that shit and we will mail it back and you'll get twice the amount of shit.
All right, here it is. It's P.O. Box 3691, San Leandro, California, 94578-9991. Just send yourself a self-addressed stamp there, and Mike will inform you of the anti-lizard, anti-alien spells.
It's true. I will do that, provided that Aldo Poe doesn't steal our mail.
One thing I wanted to wrap up with is, what was your favorite UFO story this year? I actually saw a video the other day that the people in Peru that were dealing with the face rippers are still, there's people walking their kids to school with shotguns in their hands. They're still...
I was going to say, that's definitely the face rippers from Peru. That's the scariest, wildest story all year, and I love it.
Can you believe they're still dealing with whatever that is?
Yeah. I don't care which part of the story is real. If it's actually cartel members with jetpacks, that's equally scary and awesome as fucking face-ripping alien. Well, I shouldn't say equally, because, I mean, face-ripping aliens are way cooler, but cartel members with jetpacks, that's like fucking video game shit.
Yeah, that's some sci-fi stuff. That's straight out of Spaceballs. Yeah, but that was very weird to have pop up, and to see that it's still going on. I don't know what to make of that story. I mean, if there's people walking around with shotguns, I hope to God they shoot one soon and we get to see.
Yeah. Or maybe they just shoot it and go ding, like the fucking Hopkinsville goblins.
Yep, and then that's the scary thing, is that they're straight up bulletproof. Yep. Well, that's going to wrap up this year for us, guys. Thank you for listening to us, sticking with us, and we hope you guys have a relaxing time no matter what you celebrate, if you celebrate anything at all.
Also, I just want to give a extra special shout out to our patrons. You guys are fucking awesome. We love everything you do for us. You guys are all collectively the man and womans, and We'll try to make it worth your while. And for those that are interested, we do have a Patreon. Go join it. We post shit there and do monthly Discord hangouts and stickers and things. Just
here.
Go check it out. There's stuff there that we do. And if you want more of us, that's a good way to do it. If not, it's fine. We still love you. We think you're swell.
Yeah, that's a great word. All right, everybody, you have a good holiday or vacation, and drive safe no matter what you're doing. You don't have to be a drunk driver to get into an accident. There's plenty of those assholes out there, so be safe.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.